of whatever they came to seek out in this institution. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Now we go back to the comments. Senator Ledama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to make some observations and comments on the statement issued by my dear sister, Senator Hamida Kibwana. Mr. Speaker, although the statement is very, very important because it talks about the welfare of young Kenyans, I think it's about time that we stop being reactive and we become proactive. When we are reactive, we are blaming everybody for what is happening to us. Yet, we are the ones who are not strict in terms of policy, allowing constructions of houses along the rivers, and then ultimately, when a government has got to make a decision, a government also which is reactive, all of us are up in arms. The only way that we can be responsible is for us to be proactive so that we can be able to take responsibility of our actions. It's about time, Mr. Speaker, and this is why we keep on saying that we should send more monies to our counties. We should fight for more monies to go to our counties so that we stop this rural-urban migration. People are migrating into the urban areas. Mr. Speaker, if you go through Nairobi today, and I've been to a lot of parts in the industrial area, you will find that places where there are no dump sites are now dump sites. You'll find that this action of moving people along the river or the riverbanks or the, the land which is adjacent to the rivers, when people are moved from that area, it cleans up the environment. So I think we need to be able to be serious and to become future-centric in terms of our planning, in terms of our thinking. Because my sister has raised serious concerns here. In her first statement, she wants to clarify the procedure and framework under which the government conducted evictions and demolition in Mathare and Mukuru kwa Ruben areas. Mr. Speaker, we know the government was reacting and trying to save people. I think it's about time when we all fight for more monies to go to our counties, we create more jobs in our counties so that we limit the people who have to come in and live as second-class citizens or live as puppets in our urban areas. Everybody here in this house today live like a king or queen. They have their beautiful apartments, they have their beautiful houses, which are not affected by the floods when they come. But the people who we represent are people who are languishing in poverty. I think all of us should be conscious and allow. So in this statement, Mr. Speaker, I would like the committee to go further, to try and see what we need to do as a house so that we can become proactive and we can be able to take responsibilities for our actions. Now, if you ask the governor of Nairobi why he had to remove people from the sides of the river, he will say it's because we want to save these people from being, washed away. To be honest with you, when you look at Nairobi the way it is, when the colonial masters designed Nairobi to be a capital city, they didn't think that the population will grow this much. They thought that probably there'll be a few people living in Nairobi. But the truth of the matter is, Mr. Speaker, as we think clearly on the solutions, we need not to think about 2 years in advance. We need to think about 10 years in advance, create more cities. At first, Mr. Speaker, I was giving some completely unorthodox suggestions that we should move the seat of government from Nairobi to some rural area so that we create room. I think it's about time we do that. Let's go to Taita Taveta. Let's go to Narok. Let's go to, not Narok, we don't have land. Let's go to part of rural areas where we can be able to put the seat of the government. Because the moment you put the seat of the government there, you move more people there, so you decongest the cities which are here. So, Mr. Speaker, this statement is very important, and I thank again Senator Hamida, and I hope that the committee will take serious, really serious proactive measures to ensure that they extend not only in Nairobi, in the areas that the Senator has requested, but in all urban areas which everybody is rushing to. You know, we are neglecting our rural areas. You know, all these changes which are coming, the pieces of legislation which are being introduced now, some of them which we don't even read and we just pass them, you know, will continue disadvantaging the poor people. So, Mr. Speaker, I thank Senator Hamida for her statement, and I hope that we can all become proactive in our decision making. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Wamatinga.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. I also rise to support the statement sought by Senator Hamida. Indeed, our physical planning in the last 60 years has not only failed us, but also failed the future generations. Agreeing with my colleague, Senator Fonalok, that we must plan in all our future cities and in county seats where we will be able to accommodate the current and the future generation. Mr. Speaker, sir, successful governments have been unable to make this unpopular decision of having to protect the riparian land. It is time, Mr. Speaker, and I would want to commend the government. As much as it is a painful thing to do, Mr. Speaker, it is equally more painful and more destructive to see people washed away because they have built their shelters along river banks. This, Mr. Speaker, sir, is not a preserve of honor in Nairobi County. It is repeated in various counties. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is time that we as senators come up with laws that will ensure that riparian land across the country are protected and people are not allowed to build and construct and obstruct waterways. We saw, Mr. Speaker, sir, penny-free houses, lives and property being washed down the rivers. It was a sight to be so painful, Mr. Speaker, to see people die because we've not been able to make a decision, and us, especially the political class, have always made that popular decision of making sure that people continue living, despite the fact that we know that is a very, very unfortunate thing. Moving forward, Mr. Speaker, and lauding the government for this, we must not allow this to happen tomorrow. We must not allow that to happen again. And therefore, we must come up with legislative and legal framework that will ensure that waterways, riparian lands are not only protected, but we do not allow people to put up structures because we have seen what it has the potential to create. Mr. Speaker, sir, yes, indeed, we need a lot of political goodwill to ensure that we go in tandem with the environmental conservation measures, some of them which are very painful to our people. Mr. Speaker, construction along the riparian land does not only destroy the ecosystem, it also endangers people's lives in addition to encouraging erosion and pollution. We know people living downstream in the counties downstream, Mr. Speaker. They have been affected by waters that transfers the county of Nairobi, transfers the counties of Makueni and Machakos, all down to Tana River to Kilifi. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is our duty as Kenyans to ensure that even our brothers and sisters living downstream, they enjoy, in line with the SDG, clean water, clean environment. This can only be done when we ensure that the riparian and the river banks and the waterways are kept free of contamination, are kept free of human encroachment, so that we do not lose life, but also ensure that people living downstream enjoy clean water. Mr. Speaker, sir, I support.
Senator Eddy.
Mr. Speaker, I also rise to support the statement by Senator Amida. And Mr. Speaker, in these last few weeks, I've actually been very involved in the response efforts towards those who have been affected by floods. And Mr. Speaker, it is perturbing to still see a number of families that are struggling here and there. And I think that I want to be cautious not to politicize this matter to the extent that I think that the the committee can be able to devise a way of actually communicating a proper intervention, not only during this response time, but also during recovery. And therefore, I support Mr. Speaker.
Senator Methu.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much for this opportunity. I want to make very quick comments on the two statements. One that has been sought by my neighbor and the Senator for Nakuru, Senator Deputy Majority Leader Tabitha Kiroche, on the shooting of 4 young men in Barut area in Nakuru West. Honorable Speaker, it is a very sad state of affairs, Honorable Speaker, that people who are just out to make a livelihood, to make a life, to get to feed their families, Honorable Speaker, were met by these uncalled for deaths, Honorable Speaker. And I am asking this question in my mind, Honorable Speaker. Is it for the young men or the people who are around this lake, Honorable Speaker, to know that there are arsenic metals in fish, or is it the county government and the national government, Honorable Speaker, to declare this a condemned area, Honorable Speaker? Number two, this is a very substantive question that I have been asked by Senator for Nakuru. What is the county government and the national government doing about it, Honorable Speaker? There should be a permanent solution to this particular menace, Honorable Speaker. And more dangerously so, what about the fishing that is happening? Because there is fishing that is happening, and fish is being sold, as she has rightly put. And you know, I come from a constituency that is just next to the lake, Honorable Speaker. How sure am I that the fish that is being taken by the people of Nyandarua, the people of Kinangop, does not have these metals that are causing the cancer of the head here, cancer of the brain, and the cancer of many other places, Honorable Speaker? The government must stop. The county government and the ones that have been charged with this aqua life of fish, Honorable Speaker, they must move in speed and ensure that this matter is sorted. The second comment that I would also want to make is on this statement that has been sought by Senator Tabitha Mutinda on a very sad, again, status, Honorable Speaker, of mothers that have been detained at Mamarusi Kibaki Hospital, Honorable Speaker. We see the governor walk with flamboyance. We saw him yesterday, donned in yellow colors, Honorable Speaker, abusing people right, left, and center, Honorable Speaker, disrespecting His Excellency the Deputy President, Honorable Speaker. You would imagine that the health is working in Nairobi, Honorable Speaker. But what are we seeing? Innocent mothers are staying in hospitals, Honorable Speaker. What does a baby have to do with that? The mother cannot be able to pay her bill to go home, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, if you start suffering from your day of birth, Honorable Speaker, if you start detention on your day of birth, Honorable Speaker, what becomes of your life? If the governor cannot, or the county government that is charged with your health, Honorable Speaker, cannot be able to secure your freedom when you are born, Honorable Speaker, and what we see is flamboyance. Many committees who are here, Honorable Speaker, have to even find the governor to appear before this committee to be accountable, to appear before the committees of this parliament, Honorable Speaker, to be accountable, Honorable Speaker. But what are we seeing? But anyway, Honorable Speaker, it was said that for the people that, it was said, I should not be quoted, it was said that for the people who got a degree for the governor of Nairobi, forgot that getting a paper is not sufficient to getting and impacting knowledge on the person, Honorable Speaker. A paper cannot measure up, Honorable Speaker. You could walk around with a degree, but if you do not have the knowledge, it will come out, it will be seen. It is what is being seen in this particular statement, Honorable Speaker, that is being sought. Because if you cannot address the question of health, Honorable Speaker, you are just masquerading, Honorable Speaker, and moving around, disrespecting people and saying that for the people of Nairobi, because this is just one issue. I know if the senator for Nairobi was here, he would be speaking about the ISO of the dump, the garbage that is all over Nairobi, Honorable Speaker. And then somebody is making a joke that the dimples of the governor of Nairobi are deep enough to throw that garbage, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, people must be serious. People must be accountable. I don't want to say anything more than that. I want to stop it at that. Thank you very much.
Senator Kathuri Murungi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I want to make a brief comment. And Mr. Speaker, because I'm mentoring Senator Eddie to be a very good legislator, you don't support a statement. You just make a comment. You make comment either positive or negative, but you don't support a statement. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to make a brief comment on the statement sought by the Senator for Nakuru County. Mr. Speaker, since I've done small, not a lot of science, but I know heavy metals really affect the brain and they cause brain cancer with a very high speed. So, Mr. Speaker, number one, in Lake Nakuru, we have one major problem of heavy metals in Lake Nakuru. Heavy metals as a result of pollution, especially industrial pollution. So there is a lot of pollution from the industries or factories in Nakuru, and that is why we have heavy metals in that lake. Now that is one of the problems. What should be done by the government? Because the Kenya Marine and Fisheries Research Institute already has declared there is heavy metals in that lake. And I'm getting from the good senator for Nakuru, who is aspiring to be the next governor, and I can see she is really overworking. There is this recommendation by Kenya Marine and Fisheries Research Institute. What is the government doing to make sure that that is implemented, Mr. Speaker? So the county government at one point, because they should protect the people in Nakuru, should also be accountable, because the people in Nakuru County belong to Nakuru County. So they should be able to be protected by the governor in Nakuru, governor for Nakuru County. Number two, Mr. Speaker, the national government, because Lake Nakuru is under Kenya Wildlife Service, KWS should really implement that advice by Kenya Marine and Fisheries Research Institute. So, Mr. Speaker, the boys going and accessing the lake, they are just looking for food, and they don't know whether there is heavy metals in the lake or the lake is clean. So, Mr. Speaker, the boys are very innocent. And when these askaris, KWS askaris, go and shoot them, completely they don't know what they are doing, Mr. Speaker. And those people should actually be arrested and demand actually the arrest. And to me, they should not be a mere statement, but should a substantive question, which you should direct it to the either the CS leading the wildlife, or even health, or somebody, one of the CSEs, you must explore and see where you can fit this question. So I wish you could bring it as a question so that we can ask the CS from this floor what effort they are doing. Because I know statements, of course, they will go and write something and bring to the committee. But when he or she appears here, we can get good statements from them. We can be able to interrogate. So, Mr. Speaker, I did want them to make that statement that also NEMA, National Environment Management Authority, should be held accountable. Because if there are heavy metals in the lake, why are they allowing pollution to this lake in Nakuru? So, Mr. Speaker, that is the end of my comment. And I really wish also to comment on the statement by the other Tabitha Mutinda, because county governments, Mr. Speaker, have failed greatly. And if women are detained in a hospital at this era by a governor even who was a senator in this house, and he understands devolution perfectly, and he